Good morning, TK students. It's Mrs. Belatash. And before we go on talking about trees, I wanted us to review the parts of the tree. So, this whole thing all together is a tree.
There's the roots, the trunk, the branches, and the leaves. And there are the roots, the trunk, the branches, and the leaves. These two trees look different, but they have the same parts.
Boys and girls, in your bag, there was a little bag that was a plastic bag that had different tree. It was a picture of a tree, and the words are listed there. Could you please get that out of your science kit? We are going to play a matching game. I want you to look closely at these pictures of the tree. The part where that says the word roots, that part of the tree is dark, and we know that's the part they're talking about. Here it says trunk, and that part is dark. This part says branches, and that part is dark. This one says leaves, and that part is dark. And then we have the entire tree. So what I want us to do is match the words. Oh, roots. And it matches there. So I'm going to put it right on top. Okay, this one is trunk. I'm going to find the word trunk and put it on top. Yes, that matches. I'm going to find the word branches. I'm going to look for the letter B at the beginning, branches. And I'm going to put it on top. I'm going to look for the word leaves. It starts with the letter L, leaves. And I'm going to put it on top. And then I'm going to look for the word tree. And I'm going to put it on top. Oh, boys and girls, this is kind of a fun matching game. And you can play it and you can see if you can go faster and faster and learn about all the parts of the tree. We have the roots, which drink up the water. We have the trunk, which holds up the plant. We have the branches, which branch off from the trunk and hold the leaves. And we have the leaves, which are green and actually make food for the plant, for the tree. And all of those parts together make one complete tree. All right, TKers, we are going to go on another little field trip around the school. And this time, I want us to look really closely. I want us to observe the leaves of the tree, of different trees. And I also want us to collect some leaves and bring them back and look at them. So I'm going to collect some leaves. Boys and girls, over the next few days, why don't you collect some leaves too so that we can investigate them? The first tree I'm going to look at is right outside the science lab. It is kind of a smallish tree. And I want us to look really closely at the leaves. I'm going to pick one of these leaves. I'm going to get my scissors and I'm going to cut a few off. This is a beautiful tree outside of Mrs. Krell's kindergarten classroom. It's a beautiful tree, but I want to look closely at the leaves. I'm going to pick a couple leaves here. This is a bigger tree. And boys and girls, the leaves look very different. They're very different from the leaves that were on the last two trees. I'm going to pick some of these leaves. This tree is outside of the first grade building at school, and the leaves on this tree are even more different. It's so interesting. It's funny that all these trees have leaves, but each leaf has a different shape. I'm gonna pick some of these leaves. This tree is over near the play structure. And this tree has some flowers on it. And the leaves are different again. This is a big tree in the teacher's parking lot. And this tree has interesting shaped leaves, and they're very, very green. Outside the first grade classrooms, there are some very, very big pine trees. And pine trees have really different leaves. Their leaves are really skinny, like needles. All right, so I collected so many leaves outside, and now I want us to take a look at some of them. So this is from the very first tree that I looked at outside. And this little bunch of leaves always come 5 together. So they come off of this little stem, off of the branch, and every single time you get one of these leaves, they come as a group of 5. See, look, here we go. A group of 5. A group of 5. So this tree always has 5 leaves together. Very interesting. Okay, here are the pine needles. Wow, they are long and really skinny and a little pointy at the end. I guess that's why they're called a pine needle. Now, compare this to this enormous leaf. Wow, they are incredibly different. This one is really skinny, and this one is really wide and big and flat. Beautiful leaf. Oh, here is another bunch of leaves that grow together, and each one of them is very skinny. Not as skinny as the needles, as the pine needles, but they're long and thin. Let's see. This one is an interesting shape. It's big, but it's not all put together like this one, right? This is just one big leaf. This one has some different shapes to it. Very interesting. Ooh, this one is an interesting leaf. Look at this one. Do you see how the edge is all pointy and jagged? It's a little sharp. That doesn't hurt, but it would keep some animals away. Okay. This is an interesting leaf. Look at these leaves. The leaves are really small. I think each one of these is one leaf, and they come off of a long kind of stem off of the branch, and they all come together. Wow, this is an interesting leaf. And here's another leaf. This leaf looks like it's starting to change. It's September, so maybe this leaf is starting to change for the winter. So boys and girls, I liked looking at our leaves. I liked looking at all the different things about the leaves. And I'm just wondering if there is something that we noticed that was the same about all the leaves. Are all the leaves the same size? No, they're different sizes, right? Are all the leaves the same shape? No, they're different shapes. Are all the leaves brown? No, most of the leaves are green. I would say that all the leaves that we've looked at today are green. So before we go any further, I want to save these leaves. And the way that we can do it is that we can press them. So boys and girls, it's good to get a leaf and a magazine. I have the National Geographic, and it's really good if your magazine is a little shiny. If it's not shiny, that's okay. If it's shiny, it helps it stay a little moister. So I'm going to take my leaf and I'm going to put it flat inside my magazine. Now I'm going to put a bunch of them in there. So I'm going to take some leaves. I'm going to put them between a few pages. I'm going to turn the page. I'm going to take another couple of leaves. I'm going to put them between some pages and I'm going to turn the page. So go ahead and do this with all of your leaves. Okay, so boys and girls, I now have put all of my leaves in these magazines, and you can see that there's some leaves in there because it's not lying flat. I'm observing that. And now I'm going to take a big heavy book and I'm going to put it on top. And that's going to flatten out the leaves, and it's going to help preserve or keep the leaves so that we can continue looking at them for the next several weeks. All right, boys and girls, could you please get out your science notebook? And the first page was how do we learn? Then we talked about our senses for a few pages. Then we talked about our tree. And we drew a picture of, I drew a picture of my tree, and I noticed that there some of the leaves are turning yellow. Now, the next page says, what do we observe about our trees? And we're gonna leave that blank. We have a couple of blank pages because we're gonna come back and draw pictures of the trees as we go through the year. So we're not gonna draw where it says, what do we observe about our trees? I'm gonna skip that page. And then the next page is a blank page, and I'm gonna skip that page too. And now we're at this page. What did we observe about leaves? And I put my name at the top. And boys and girls, I drew a picture of a leaf, and this is the leaf I drew. It kind of looks the same. And I wrote, leaves are green. Now, your teacher can decide whether she wants you to write something or not. I decided I wanted to write something, and I wanted to write about the color of the leaves. Boys and girls, do you notice that there are some lines on the leaf that I drew? Those are called the veins of the leaf, and I want us to see if we can see them on my actual leaf. Do you see them on my leaf? I'm going to look on the back, see if you can see better. Oh, yeah. Do you see? Those are the veins of the leaf, and those bring the water from the roots. Then it goes up the trunk and out to the branches and finally to the leaves, and the veins of the leaf carry the water to all parts of the leaf. TK students, I had a fabulous time looking at leaves with you. I look forward to spending some more time with you next week. See you later, Cougars.